Happy Tuesday. I love Tuesdays. They're one of my favorite days of the week. Let me read this to you. You know how I've been saying how evaluating what I was doing and what I was doing, what I wasn't doing, and what was benefiting my life and what was not benefiting my life. A wise teacher was taking a stroll through the forest with a young pupil and stopped before a tiny tree. Pull up that sapling, the teacher instructed his pupil, pointing to a sprout just coming up from the earth. The youngster pulled it up easily with his fingers. Now pull up that one, said the teacher, indicating a more established sapling that had grown to about knee-high to the boy. With little effort, the lad yanked and the tree came up, roots and all. And now this one, said the teacher, nodding toward a more well-developed evergreen that was as tall as the young pupil. With great effort, throwing all his weight and strength into the task, using sticks and stones, he found to pry up the stubborn roots, the boy finally got the tree loose. Now, I'd like you to pull this one up. The young boy followed the teacher's gaze, which fell upon a mighty oak. We're almost done. So tall, the boy could scarcely see the top. Knowing the great struggle he just had pulling up the much smaller tree, he simply told his teacher, "I'm sorry, but I can't." My son, you have just demonstrated the power that habits will have over your life, the teacher exclaimed. The older they are, the bigger they get, the deeper the roots grow, and the harder they are to uproot. Some get so big with roots so deep, you might hesitate to even try. Okay, let's just have a moment for that fun little story. I know I keep saying this, but at the end of this last year when I did that exercise, and it's funny because I just got this book called The Compound Effect and Jumpstart. It's always like, I feel like this is very dramatic titles, but hey, like it's this whole idea that the tiny things that we do make a huge difference. And so when I sat down and I did that, and I know I've said this at every single video, but it's been that transformative to my life because I'm finally doing the things that I needed to do that kind of felt overwhelming. We all know how hard it is to just sometimes do the things that you know you need to do, but you're not doing them. And so we procrastinate and then we start to feel anxious, and health is so much more than just what we eat. It really is about how we live our lives. And even the doctor that I study under, he talks about that cells with a purpose, things start running differently. Not everything that can be measured matters, and not everything that matters can be measured. And so even in that, purpose and what fuels us, what drives us, our loves, our passions, that can't be measured. But what is amazing is that the researchers that have looked into those things, they can see that makes a difference in the health of a person. That truly how we spend our days is how we spend our lives. And ultimately, when we are spending our days and we are excited about what we're doing, this doesn't mean that we have to be like, so I don't know, live some extravagant life. When I literally sit on my front porch in solitude, there is nothing in the world that is quite like that. There's no view or vacation or anything like that other than me sitting in solitude with God, listening to the birds while I watch the sunrise come up. It doesn't have to be big extravagant things. I really think that the beauty is found when you truly take delight. And like I mentioned in my last video, when we're not so distracted, because it's really hard to take delight when we're distracted. And so it's the same thing even with our home. For me, you know, it's hard for me to focus on studying when my home is not tidy and it's not kept up. And for a while there, I was just kind of like, well, I need to study now before I, do my laundry or something like that, or I'll just do it later. And I ultimately, then my brain wasn't even able to fully focus on studying. I was thinking about the laundry. And so it ripples into all these other areas of just very small changes. What I'm trying to say is the small changes make a really big difference, Even something as simple as this. It's so funny because then we know it to be true or we hear it, but we don't do it, or maybe we don't really believe it. We're like, could that really make that big of a difference? When you're thinking about, like, somebody says like a quick 5-minute walk after a meal, that makes a big difference. And you think, well, how much of a difference could it make? And then you don't do it because you're thinking, not that big of a deal, doesn't really make that big of an impact. So you don't do it. But it really does make that big of a difference. It really does make that big of a difference. And if we would start doing the very small things, there is a ripple effect. There is the compound effect, if you will. And it's funny because Proverbs talks about this. You know, those who diligently work their land and they don't follow after worthless pursuits. That's the key. It's being diligent in your daily little things. So stop believing the lie that what you do or that small little thing doesn't make a difference. It makes a huge difference. I have been chatting for quite a while, but I love to talk to you. Do we all just need a little pep in our step, a little motivation? Excuse me. That's how you know it's time to wrap it up. This has been my favorite drink lately. I just make a chai. This is so easy. Could you just rip these open and just throw it in some water? You know when you're like, you need to use a certain cup? That's literally me. Like this cup. This is the cup I like to use. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt you. And I always add in my 4 scoops. Okay, we got our chai tea, and then we have our 4 scoops of Armor Colostrum. I never go a day without this, ever. Did my wand just break? Oh. Okay, that was aggressive. My camera is freaking out. I think it's like overheating or something. I'll try to say this really quickly. As you know, I've been documenting my whole preconception journey. I've taken you through everything from this last year of how I went from like a literal 1 progesterone to an over 16 PDG, a different way of measuring progesterone. Anyway, huge difference, was never in range for progesterone. And one of the things that I discovered last year was mold, was that my body had black mold, which is a toxin, and that's going to hurt the cell. And that is why I do not believe in cookie cutter protocols. Like, is a green juice going to fix mold colonization in the gut? You know what I mean? Now, what I do believe in is certain principles of making healthy cells. Not everyone is going to need the same thing. Not everything is going to be for everyone. But what I do believe is strengthening the cell in the environment that we live in, because we're exposed to so many different toxins every single day, free radicals, stuff like that. So we want to nurture the health of the cell. That is my simple aim every day, is to make healthy cells. And by doing that, my whole health has been completely transformed. That's why I take Armor Colostrum every day. Why? Because it has over 400 different nutrients. It's nature's first food, and it contains prebiotics and antibodies and things that the cell can use and does use to ultimately have the nutrients that it needs to feed the good bacteria in our gut, and at the same time strengthen itself against invaders that want to come in and break down the barrier. Why does Armor Colostrum work so well for so many different people? Because it's providing nutrients like antibodies that are going to help strengthen the cell against things that want to hurt it. So when we do those two things, we are optimizing cellular health and we're changing our lives. So that's why it works. That's why I take it every single day. And I've felt such a huge difference in my digestion, bloating, my hair. And I choose Armor specifically for my colostrum because they are the only colostrum to use the cold chain biopotent pasteurization technology, which is what keeps the 400 nutrients active and bioavailable so that your body can use them. This is surplus colostrum only. They do not take anything. They just are able to utilize what's left over that would get wasted from these grass-fed family farms. I'm gonna leave a link at the top of the description box. You'll just go to tryarmor.com/Cambria and get 15% off of your first order. It's my favorite. I literally don't go a day without it. I've been doing a deep dive into the microbiome this week. Listen to this. When the gut lining is worn down, cell wall fragments of bacteria, which are lipopolysaccharides, I'm kind of rephrasing because he says, let's call them LPS for short. We don't need the big word. Lipopolysaccharides, that's the big word. I'm gonna paraphrase this. They penetrate into our gut lining, okay? And when the outer world, this is it, when the outer world penetrates into the macrophage defense layer, it's an injury. There it is. It's an injury. You may not feel it. Yeah, you're not gonna like feel when Dr. Brian said that one time. He's like, do you feel when a liver cell like dies? You know, you're not gonna feel it. This is an injury, and all injuries cause an immune reaction. Exactly. Interleukin 6 becomes activated, and this causes a shift in our macrophage population after penetrating the gut lining. LPS, lipopolysaccharides, gut toxins, and other bad bacteria can penetrate into the bloodstream. That's what you need to know. And what happens when they get into our bloodstream? Lots of problems occur because now this is the highway for our hormones. Now, what happens when they get into our bloodstream? Inflammation. And what happens when there's inflammation? Cell-to-cell communication is not working properly. What's cell-to-cell communication? Hormonal health. That is one of the key things for hormone health. Hormones have to be able to signal and talk, and when we have lipopolysaccharides in the bloodstream, that's going to cause issues. In research, armored colostrum triggered a rapid and 32% stronger immune response against harmful lipopolysaccharide particles compared to other available colostrum. Okay. So I have spent a decade struggling with hormones, and now I have spent years studying them and studying cellular health and studying blood chemistry, and I am telling you something. If you focus on your gut, you will change your life. That's what's inside my brain for today. This is literally what I'm reading and studying right now, and then it just fires me up on the things that I'm already doing. I'd like to meal prep. I have a meeting at 4 o'clock, so I don't even know how we're gonna get everything done. Let's go. That's beautiful.
That water is cold.
It's cold?
Like it was like painful.
Painful?
Yeah, like extremely cold. My head was like, I almost thought it was gonna come back in after just like half
Oh, well.
It's cold.
It was fun to watch.
I got wet. That's
All right,
that
good. And I wrote the email. Usually I do not have the lights on this bright at the end of the day. We like to set up our circadian rhythm for success, have my beeswax candle going. It's Sunday night, it's a couple days later, and I figured let's meal prep together because I have to get some of this done. I want to prep it out for the week. So I have an Italian chopped salad, I have some protein waffles, chicken taco bowl. So I'm just gonna prep out the chicken. Jello, we're gonna do our mineral rich Jello, great snack to have throughout the week. Great thing to meal prep. This one is a super easy one. You need oat straw, nettle, and then red raspberry leaf. Leading up to your period, it is phenomenal. Probably like 8 to 9 cups of water. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons each. 2 tablespoons of oat straw, nice heaping tablespoon of red raspberry, 2 tablespoons of nettle. It smells so good. And then 2 packets of the grapefruit element adds such good flavor. And then there's no sweetener in it, which is great. So if you're like struggling with blood sugar regulation, this is phenomenal. All right, I'm gonna set this aside while we let the water boil, and we're gonna do our Italian chopped salad. I'm not gonna do anything crazy. I'm just gonna put in a few things to make the week easier. A protein, a simple vegetable side, and then protein waffles, so easy to just make for breakfast. Delicious. And then the Jello is great because it's super mineral rich and nutrient dense, and it's just really gonna add in nutrients throughout the week. I just got a bunch of these artichokes, so I'm gonna do artichokes, roasted bell peppers, roasted red peppers, chickpeas. These are my favorite, jovial chickpeas, because they are soaked overnight and pressure cooked. Couple red pepper, put these in. Great for liver detoxification. Red wine vinegar, fresh olive oil, good nice generous drizzle of that, beautiful, fresh lemon, beautiful, pretty generous amount of the oregano, Good. A little bit of basil, fresh pepper, generous amount of salt. Delicious. Perfect for the week. Done. So quick and easy. Phenomenal. That's amazing. That is truly amazing. Perfect. Love to see it. Wow, look at that waffle. Cup of olive oil. Half a cup of lime juice. 1, 2, 8 cloves of garlic. Happy Monday. Prepped out for the week. I have to say this was the easiest meal prep and honestly one of my favorites that I've ever done. So I wanted to show you how everything turned out. This is one of my favorite salads that I've ever made. Not only was it the easiest salad that I've ever made, but the flavor is so good and it's phenomenal for supporting your liver health and just detoxification in general because it's super fiber rich from the chickpeas. And then also those artichokes in there are fantastic for liver health. And it was incredibly easy to whip up. I think it genuinely took me like 1 minute to make this and it keeps so well in the fridge. The chicken turned out fantastic. Easy shredded chicken, easy protein. Make it, throw it in some tacos, make like a taco bowl, a burrito bowl. Super simple, add some black beans, some avocado, make a bowl out of it. You could do some rice or you could roast up some sweet potato and put that in there with maybe like some avocado crema from Siete. These waffles turned out so good. Like look at you can just tell that the texture is on point. And for me personally, I would do like 2 of these and then maybe like an egg and some yogurt. Like I just found this coconut yogurt from Costco that's really good with some berries or maybe like some coconut cream on the top with some bee pollen. You can pop this in the toaster, heat it up so quickly. Something else I was going to do was make chimichurri, but then I remembered that I have my pesto. I think it's so helpful to have a sauce to use throughout the week. This basil pesto is my current favorite. I just cannot get over the ingredients. A lot of them usually have canola oil. That's one thing, but then pine nuts. I don't really love pine nuts. And also a lot of times it has dairy. So if you're sensitive to dairy, there's no dairy in this. It's basil, olive oil, parsley, pumpkin seeds, garlic, vinegar, lemon juice, and salt. There's a lot of different ways to use this. You can even roast veggies and add a scoop of the pesto to the roasted veggies so you have a lot of flavor. There's so many different ways to use the sauce. And if I didn't have this, I would prep out a chimichurri. Again, another just great base sauce that you can add a lot of flavor to dishes throughout the week. So I think it's a really good thing to prep. And then last but not least, I think that this is a phenomenal thing to prep as well. We have our Jell-O, and this has become my favorite Jell-O to make. This is like the ultimate beauty, gut health Jell-O, full of minerals, full of vitamins, so many different nutrients from all those delicious, just look at this, look at that wiggle. And also look at just the texture of this. This reminds me of the Jell-O that my grandmother used to make. It's so hydrating. A great way to consume the mineral tea without it being in a tea form. I was gonna say, don't forget you can go to tryarmor.com/Cambria and you're gonna get 15% off your first order. And they just came out with this sun gold apricot flavor and I just had it for the very first time right now. I just finished my first glass and it is delicious. This is the flavor of spring. If you're wanting something to just throw in your water, make it taste delicious, and then you have all that gut loving goodness, this is it, and it's such a good flavor. So I'm gonna leave the link at the very top of the description box. You'll just click that and you're automatically gonna get that 15% off your first order. So everyone loves Armra. I always love hearing the comments, how it's helped you. It is amazing. It's the best. I love talking about cellular health, and truly focusing on my gut health has completely changed my life. So I cannot say every single time I learn something new, everything comes back to the gut. And really everything comes back to our cells, but the cells of our gut are so important because that's where we're absorbing nutrients and utilizing them. And that's where we really need to have a strong foundation so that the rest of our body, we're not having things get out into the bloodstream. And that's really where my specialty is with blood chemistry. And I have seen, I just reviewed a test this morning that we reran of one of my friends who's my client, and we went all in on her gut health, and it is amazing to see all of her lab markers and how they've changed. So focus on the gut, focus on the gut. I love you so much. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you try out some of these recipes, and I'm just excited to see you in the next video. Bye.